Hello everyone from the wonderful Board Game Geek. I hope you all are doing well. Well, we're starting a new beginning. The reason is I finally have the camera that I wanted. I saved up all my shekels and went out and invested a lot of money in a camera that we can really get some detail and talk more about processes. So today you're going to be taking a look at, actually for the next couple of weeks, to be honest with you, there's going to be some videos on the game Hate. Now, some people like the game, some people don't, but what we're concerned about is the miniatures and the way we can build and show technique on how to build out, darken, and shade, do flesh colors, armor, and all those neat little details that maybe that you struggle with. So without further ado, let's head to the table. Okay, now that we've gotten done most of our really weird creatures, we're going to get into a lot of these type of guys. So we're going to be going through the same type of pattern, and I'm going to show you the different variances on each one and some of the things that we could do. We're going to be using some Blood of the Blood God. Just, you know, usually I'm not a big guy that splatters blood on things, but we're going to do that. But I really want to get this started off by showing you that we primed him black, okay, with a very good primer, nice and light. And then all we did was take some, yes, you bet you, it's that lead belcher coming out again. And we just went over everything, because we can just, we're going to tighten up all this, but getting the main coverage of the armor. Now we can change certain pieces of the armor, like this headpiece is going to be gold, and then this plate here is going to be gold, and then we're going to put in his flesh in certain areas. But it's okay to go over and just get a full feel of it. Now I did try to miss this fur here that saved myself a little bit of time, and the horns and things like that, but I was able to hit little plates here. So now all I do is come back and fill this in. So why don't we get started, and why don't we start with, well, basically filling in our fur. That's another thing. Once we get that done, and then we'll work on some flesh, and then we'll start building out with this guy. And you're going to see a lot of amazing things as we go through and start getting this guy up and running. And you can see how quick and easy it is to get these going if you have a battle plan. And that's exactly what we're creating for you, a beautiful blueprint to go for. All right, let's get from here. What we did is we painted some Rhinex hide, dryad bark, excuse me, but just for his fur, we just want to get that on to get a good start here. That's all we want to do. Now what we're going to do is we're going to paint the flesh in here, and we're going to get that all squared away. It's not a lot, but just enough to really kind of enhance. We really want that to stand out, so we want to take care of that flesh area, and then we're going to clean up some of the other areas here. All right, next we're just taking some Kesliff flesh, and we are just working it into the hair areas. I mean, into the chest area. Hair areas. What the hell am I thinking? And what we're going to do, I'm not worried about getting it on the belts or the hair, and that's why we're doing it now, is we're just hitting this area, and we're going to clean up the other stuff. But I just want to get that definition in there so I know exactly where I'm going. And there we go. We're just going to work that in there. And once we get that in there, we're going to let it dry. It's going to look like garbage, but we have a whole bunch of things before we even fix half this stuff. But right now we're just trying to get that undercoat. Remember, we dry brushed everything in a lead belcher. So now we're going to work our way outwards, and we have to cover that up so we can start working on it and just getting exactly where we want to get things. So I'm going to finish this up, and then we're going to come back. So we got the flesh in there, and we made sure we have all the dryad bark in there. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding in the ushabti bone. So I have these like bandages or these things here, and I know this is just not going to look right now, but when we add our washes, you watch how this all comes together. We've got some skulls here that we're going to add into. We're going to make sure that those are dialed in. We got a skull up here. And I'm not worried about how I get this in there. I just want to get the initial coat. Part of the horn here, but we're going to touch that up later. So we're going to work that in there a little bit. And then we got this big, huge, yeah, there you go. So we got that there, and we got some horns on the back here. So I'm going to hit all these and get these all painted up. And then we'll come back and I'll show you the next thing I want to do here is he's got some black hair coming around here. And I want to tighten that up because if you remember, I just kind of went over everything with this silver, actually lead belcher. So I'm going to just tighten up his hair here, and I'm trying to do it so you guys can see it as well without the camera freaking out. And I'm just going to continue doing this. I'm also going to take some lead belcher and come across and tighten these chains off because we've got some lead belcher. I mean, we got some flesh on there, some Kesla flesh on there. So I want to tighten all this up, and because we're going to be going into washes next, so I want to make sure that I have all those areas tightened up so when I apply the wash, it's going to do the job that we need it to do. So I'll be back once I get this done, and I'll show you right before we start putting the wash on. Okay, so right about now we look like a hot mess. That's for doggone sure. But what I did is I just tightened up that hair. I fixed the chains right in there, and that's fine for now. I was going to add the wash first, but I just realized that I want to put some different plating on here. So I want to get that before I go with my washes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this plating, and we'll get right back, and you'll see what I'm talking about here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Retribution armor. Retribution armor really will stand out and make a difference on this guy, and I think that's where we're going to get a really nice look, especially across this helmet here. What I want to do is I really just kind of want to, now this is only going to be the first layer of this. This is going to be the underneath, and we're going to work our way outward. And you can see what we're doing is we're laying that on top nice and easy, no pressure. I'm going to want to do this plate here as well, nice and thin coats. And I'm going to do here, and I'm going to do the top here, and then I think I'm going to do the outside here. So we're going to really break this guy up a bit. So I'm going to finish that up, and I'm going to show you what it looks like when we come back. All right, we got them all tightened up a little bit, but now this is the part that really counts. This is where we've got to mail it home, and we got to start with our washes. Now there's going to be a couple different layers of washes that we're going to be using. Right now I'm going to use an Agrath Earthshade. I think that dark brown really is going to work for some of the things that I'm looking to break up here, which is right there, that bandage a bit. I want to go into his skin with it, okay? I want him to be a little bit darker. And hold on here, let me just get a little on my brush here. And I want this his skin to really, and you can see what I'm doing here, and by moving it around. And I want to come over the helmet. I want to come over this. Of course, we want to do the bone stuff. And, oops, anything with bones on it, I want to come over with the Agrath Earthshade. I want to get his knees here, which are a little bit knobby. And then I'm going to get some of the other stuff in here. And I'm just going to move this around until I feel comfortable that we have all the recesses covered on his musculature. I really want to get over this gold. That's really important for me to do, is to get this over the gold and really darken this gold up, because we want to bring it up out, and you're going to see exactly what we're doing. We want to go over here. I'm not worried if it gets on any of the metal here, okay? That's not my worry right now, because we're going to be able to brighten it up no matter how we do it. So I'm going to finish this up, and then we're going to come back once it dries. Now the other thing, even though this is drying a little bit still, I can take, and with a smaller brush here, I really kind of want to start working some new oil in here. Okay, and that is a black wash. And I want to work that into the metallics. Okay, see, right into there. And then we've got some of that real shiny. It's too shiny. We need to dull it down so we can work it out. And it's okay if the two washes mix together a bit. That's not a problem. We're not worried about that. And what we're going to do is we're just going to work that in here nice and easy, as you can see. And that's giving us, again, some additional depth that I always talk about. I'm always talking about looking to hit those recesses and really bring out, like, this is not right. That we need darkness, we need shadows, so we can brighten this up. Always get those recesses really nice, and then we can work our way outwards at all times, which is a good thing. And then we're going to work that into there and to the side here, and really just make sure that we hit these metallics. There's a shield here, and even though we got a little, there we go, we can darken that up. We have this back here, we got a couple of elbow joints, we got the back of his shoes, the chains there, and just taking and moving that wash around and hitting the back area here. We want to make sure that we hit the shoulders and the joints there, and back here on this little war eagle handle for his sword, which is impressive, by the way. I just can't get over how you know, beautiful these miniatures are. They're just really very well done and very impressive. I will say that much. They are very impressive. Okay, so there we go. We got across the knuckles. Never forget the knuckles, right? And right in here. That's okay. It's okay if we get a little ooh, God, never forget the backside. You know, that's the easiest thing that you can do, is forget the backside of something. So always just make sure that you just kind of scan around, check your guy, and make sure that you got everything where you want to do. Spread it out nice and thin. All right, there we go. I'm going to stop right there. We're going to let this dry, and then we're going to come back. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of Longbeard Gray, okay, and what I'm going to do, and I've already kind of started it a little bit, is I'm just going to work some of these areas here. I'm going to work this headdress. I want to work the back of this carrot, the fur coat that he has. I mean, he has a wonderful fur coat, and I just want to get the fur area. So I'm just hitting it very lightly to give it some dimension and such. The other thing I kind of want to hit, I want to hit his hair here a little bit. I want to give that hair a little bit of life, and I think that will really stand out nicely if I just hit that lightly, as you see right there, and how that just starts to kind of come through a little bit and give a little definition there where we want to put some in there. And you can see that with the recesses and the higher, by just hitting it light, you're hitting the high points, and you're really kind of selling that out pretty good. And that's all we're trying to do. So I'm going to keep on working here, and I'm going to kind of really give this a nice feel to it. And I think that's what we're going to try to do here. And I'm going to keep on working here. As you can see, I'm just kind of just lightly going over, and I want to do that throughout the fur. So we'll be right back, and after I get this all done. Now right now I'm going to take a color called Baylor Brown, okay, and what I want to do with that is, all I want to do is just kind of touch some of the leather areas, like, well, basically like the bestial areas here, and just, I don't want a lot on here. I just want to kind of hit the edges here and just give that illusion that this has a little more dimension to it than it does. And there we go. That's a total different color there. All right, and that's all. And that, you know, that takes all of about 3 minutes, believe it or not. and I'm just going to hit in there. I'm going to hit a little bit in here around these straps, around those straps, just a little, just to give it a little touch. That's all I want to do. That's all I want to do. And maybe even in here a little bit. It doesn't hurt to make that come out a little bit better. All right, I'll be back with the next. All right, right here what I like to do is I take a little bit of terminus stone, and all we're going to do is we're going to hit some of these skulls here, and we really want to bring those out and give them a little bit of dimension. And there we go. And I'm going to do the same thing here. And right there. And a little bit in here with the bandages here. And you can see where that starts to bring that out. I don't want to hit it too hard because I don't want it to really get in there in the recesses. But I do want it to kind of sit up a little bit. And that does a nice job. And then I'm going to come over here a little bit again and just add another bit of flavor here, because I'm setting up for what I want as the big finish, and that's when we go over the last two colors there. And I'm going to hit here, and then also I'm going to work all this stuff in here, and it just takes a little time because this is really going to bring out the bone aspect of this whole thing. So you really want to make sure that you really just rub that in there, and as you can see, you kind of start getting that, well, basically bone feel to it, and that's what we're looking to do. And I'm going to finish this up, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do some more to improve our look here. The next color I want to take is a dry brush, which is Golden Griffin, and that's really we're going to start working on some of the gold here, and we're just going to go over it ever so lightly. It lightens it up, if you see here, and I just want to hit the area ever so lightly, not too hard, just enough, and really make that kind of stand out a bit. And it does. It really makes it start to give you kind of a different feel to it on each part here. The real part that we really want to make it stand out on is on that helmet there, and you can see it kind of gives you a little bit of wear here. It gives you a nice look of wear, and that's what we're trying to create here. So I'm going to finish this up, and I'm going to show you how it looks when we got it all set here, and then we're going to go into our final dry brush. All right, now we've got some Necron compound, the old favorite. Like I said, it always finds its way into something here, and all we're going to do is we're going to hit all this metallic that we darkened up so much. So by just coming over and just hitting the edge of this blade, so it has that like worn feel, so there's this sharpness involved here, and just kind of just working our way through here, working over the thumb here, working through the handles, the metallic over here. We want to hit the edge of this blade and really make this stand out. And we're just going to kind of just try to work our way around, and like right in here where there's the chain that just comes in, where the flesh is, catch a little bit of the edges, catch over here particularly because we really want that chainmail, and we want to hit the edge of the chainmail and work it down, and constantly just try to get that so it really starts to stand out. And that is, we want to be very careful because we really don't want to go over all the other stuff. That's why we're using such a smaller brush here, and we want to make sure, especially in here, we want to be very careful. Right in this gap here, we want to be careful. So I'm going to do all this, and then I'm going to show you how this all finishes up, and we'll take a look at the final product. Now, as you can see, everything kind of just stands out very nicely, exactly the way we wanted it, and we got another guy done. So let's set it up top, and let's get on out of here as we got this guy all done and ready for battle. Now this was a really enjoyable figure to paint. You can see how we contrasted the hair a little bit, because it's never just fully black. You always have to take into account light and shade and all that other stuff. I like how his flesh came out, how we had the metallics in there, and I think so far I've painted the entire game. It's one of my favorite figures that I painted. You'll get to see a lot more. Trust me on that. All right. Until next time, it's your old pal Rob, and for everybody at Board Game Geek, we will see you guys soon.